Hello everyone, welcome to Equal To, and this is the second video of our maths playlist, which is number systems, which is the first chapter of class 9 CBSE maths. So if you haven't watched the first video yet, go and watch that. There we have covered concepts like what is a natural number, what is a whole number, what are integers, and what are rational numbers. We also seen an example. Now I hope you have seen those, because that is the basics that we are going to start this video on. And in this video we are going to cover the second example in our textbook, and which is you are going to find 5 rational numbers between the numbers 1 and 2. So we are given a range 1 and 2 and you are going to find 5 rational numbers in between them. Now basically there are 2 methods for you to solve this question. There are 2 ways in which you can find 5 rational numbers between, or any number of rational numbers for that matter, and like we will be covering more about that, just don't worry about it. Now there are basically two ways, and we are going to see both these ways in this video, so we are going to do that. Now we are going to start with first method. Okay, in the first method you are going to use a very simple formula, which is a plus b divided by 2. Okay, now in this case a and b, these are the range that is given. Now here a is 1 and b is 2, and you are going to use this a plus b divided by 2. Now what it does is that it finds the number which is right in between the values 1 and 2. Okay, now you are going to find a number that is right in between 1 and 2, and that obviously also will be in a number line you can represent. We have seen those things in the previous video, and that will also be a rational numbers, because the numbers 1 and 2 are rational. With this formula, you can't even say it is a formula, it's a very small expression. A plus b divided by 2 would also give you a rational numbers, because a and b are rational. Okay, so that is what we are going to do now. But this would just give you one number, but we need 5 numbers. So how are we going to do that? Now first let us find this one number first. So here we have a is equal to 1 and b is equal to 2, and you are going to find a rational number, let us say r1. Okay, and that is going to be a plus b divided by 2, which is 1 plus 2 divided by 2, that is 3 divided by 2. Now the absolute value for 3 divided by 2 is 1.5, 1.5, that lies right in between 1 and 2. Okay, so that is that. Now we have found a number. Now we just have to check if this is actually rational in nature. Okay, so what are the properties of a rational number, or what are the things that a number had to satisfy in order for it to be called as rational? We have seen this in the previous video. So it should be expressed in the form of p by q. Now 3 divided by 2 is obviously a fractional number, and it obviously is represented in the form of p divided by q, where p is equal to 3 and q is equal to 2, and this q is also not equal to 0. Now this condition, since it satisfies this condition, we know for sure that 3 by 2 is obviously a rational number. So one answer that we have found is 3 by 2. Okay, so this is one rational number. So 3 by 2 is one rational number that lies in between 1 and 2. Now what you can do is that we can take this 3 by 2 as a range and also do the same thing again. Now with this formula a plus b by 2, only when the a and b values change, the output is going to change. With the same numbers, you are obviously going to get the same output. So what you are going to do is that you are going to replace b with 3 by 2. So we are going to do the same thing again. Now a is equal to 1 and b is equal to 3 divided by 2 instead of 2. Now what we have essentially done is that we took a range 1 to 2 and found a number in between, which is a rational number. Now we are going to take that number starting from the 1, we are going to take this number and we have to keep this as range, and we are going to find another number in between it, and that would also be a rational number. Okay, now I hope this makes sense for you, or let me just draw a number line that will help you understand this. Okay, so we have 0 here, let us say we have 1 here, we have 2 here, and right in between we have found 3 divided by 2. Okay, now what we are going to do is that, now this is the initial range that we took and we have found a number 3 by 2 right in between. Now what we are going to do is that we are going to take this as our new range 1, 2, 3 by 2. We are going to take this as the new range and we are going to apply the formula a plus b divided by 2. Okay, now that would give you another number that would also be a rational number, because 3 by 2 is a rational number, 1 is a rational number, and with that, using this formula, you would also get a new number that is also rational. Okay, so that is what you are going to do. Now let us say this is R2. R2 is 1 plus excuse me, 1 plus 3 by 2 divided by 2. Now first let us add 1 and 3 by 2. Now 3 by 2 is a fractional number, 1 is not, so we are going to take LCM. Now LCM of 1 and 2. Why is it 1 and 2? Now 1 is actually 1 divided by 1, that is what we call 1. 1 divided by 1 is 1, and 3 divided by 2, both. So the denominators are 1 and 2, and the LCM of 1 and 2 is obviously 2. So you are going to multiply 1 divided by 1 with 2 divided by 2, which is going to give you 2 divided by 2 plus 3 divided by 2, that is 5 divided by 2. Okay, now 5 divided by 2 is just the numerator here. We have found 1 plus 3 by 2, but to find R2 you have to again divide it by 2. So R2 is equal to 5 divided by 2 divided by 2. Now this might seem like a complicated number, but it's quite easy. Okay, now what you are going to do is that 5 divided by 2 is a fraction already, and you are going to divide it again by 2. So how do you represent this? Now there is something that you should know, which is dividing by 2 is same as multiplying by 1 divided by 2, multiplying by 1 by 2. Okay, now dividing by 2 is same as multiplying by 1 by 2. This is something that you should remember. This is a very important concept. This would be useful for you in so many things. It would be very easy for you to guess these sort of things. Okay, now remember this very well. Dividing by a number is same as multiplying by its reciprocal. I hope you know what is reciprocal. So reciprocal of 5 is 1 by 5. Reciprocal of 7 is 1 by 7. Okay, so dividing by a number is just same as multiplying by its reciprocal. So if you apply that concept here, it is 5 divided by 2 into 1 by 2, because 1 by 2 is the reciprocal of 2 and you are going to multiply by that, and that gives you 5 by 4. Okay, now 5 by 4 is the second rational number in this range. Now is 5 by 4 rational? Obviously 5 is rational, 4 is rational. 5 is integer, 4 is integer, and 4 is not equal to 0. So that again comes under this category. Now we have found two rational numbers. Let me just move the paper aside and move on to the next thing. Okay, now moving on, we now have two rational numbers, right? The first one is 3 by 2, the second one is 5 by 4. Okay, let me just rewrite these things. If I write it like that, 3 by 2 and 5 divided by 4. Now these are two rational numbers. Now what you are going to do is that you are going to use these numbers again and you are going to find a new number. Now between 3 by 2 and 5 by 4, you can find a middle number again, because these two are new numbers, right? These two numbers we haven't used to find a range. So you can use this with the same formula, a plus b divided by 2. We can use the same formula, a plus b divided by 2, applying with these numbers 3 by 2 and 5 by 4, and again find a new number that is rational and obviously is in between the range 1 and 2, because these two numbers are in between the range 1 and 2. So if you find a number between these things, it would obviously be inside the range 1 and 2. So we are just going to apply the formula once again. So 3 by 2 plus 5 divided by 4 divided by 2. Okay. Now don't worry about the denominator here. Don't worry about this 2. Don't worry about these things. You are just going to find the numerator's value first. Okay. Now we are going to take the LCM of 2 and 4, which is 4 obviously. Okay. Now these are things that we have learned already. We are finding LCM is very basic. I hope that is not a problem for you. So the LCM of 2 and 4 is 4, and since we are taking LCM, the numerator of 3 by 2 would become 6, and 5 would remain as 5 as well. So 6 plus 5 by 4, and the whole is divided by 2. Now 6 plus 5 by 4 is actually 11 by 4 divided by 2. Now what we have just seen is that dividing by a number is same as multiplying by its reciprocal. So it would be 11 by 4 into 1 by 2, and that would give you 11 by 8. Okay. Now 11 by 8 is another number that is rational and it is in between the range 1 and 2. Now to find if it is a number that is in between the range 1 and 2, like it would obviously be in the range 1 and 2, because we have taken 1 and 2 and we have found a number in between, and we are using that to find another number in between. So it obviously be in the range 1 and 2. Just, or if you just have to cross check, just divide it by divide 11 by 8. Okay. Now dividing 11 by 8, it just goes for one time, right? 8 1 is 8, 8 2 is 16, which surpasses 11. So obviously its value would be in the range 1 and 2. Okay. Now we have three numbers, 3 by 2, 5 by 4 and 11 by 8. Now let me just write these numbers apart here. 3 divided by 2, 5 divided by 4 and 11 divided by 8. Now these three numbers are actually rational. Now we have to find two more numbers. Okay. Now let me just erase only these, and I am going to continue here. Okay. Now we are going to continue here. Now with these numbers you can again apply the same formula. So it's just a repetitive process. You are going to apply the same formula, a plus b divided by 2, with just different values for a and b. Now we have used 5 by 4 and 3 by 2 just now. We have found a new number 11 by 8. We can use that to find a new thing. Let us just use 5 by 4 and 11 by 8. Okay. Now these are two numbers that we have just found. So 5 by 4 plus 11 by 8 divided by 2. Now the LCM is 8. Okay. So 8 and 5 would become 10, because we are going to multiply it by 2 at numerator and denominator to for the numerator to become 8. Okay. And the numerator is 11 and the whole is divided by 2. So what it comes up to is 10 plus 11 is 21. 21 divided by 8, the whole is divided by 2. Okay. So the numerator is 21 by 8, and since it is divided by 2 again, instead of dividing it by 2, you can multiply it by its reciprocal, which is 1 by 2. So into 1 by 2, which is 21 by 16. This is another number that is in between the range 1 and 2, and it's obviously rational. 21 is an integer, 16 is an integer, and 16 is not equal to 0. We have found another number. Now it's getting quite big, right? So we will use a smaller number to find the next range. Now we haven't used 3 by 2 and 2, right? So we will use 3 by 2 and 2 to find this new range. So 2 by 1 is actually represented as 2. Now taking LCM for both the things in numerator, the LCM would be 2. 3 will remain as 3, 2 will change to 4, because you are going to multiply numerator and denominator both by 2 for LCM, and the whole is divided by 2 again. So 3 plus 4 is 7, 7 by 2, again you are going to divide it by 2. So the numerator is 7 by 2, and instead of dividing by 2, you are going to multiply with its reciprocal 1 by 2. So that would be 7 by 4. Okay, so 7 by 4 is another number in between the numbers 1 and 2, which is also rational. Okay, now here we have 5 numbers that are rational. Okay, so these are 5 numbers. Yeah, so these 5 numbers are actually rational. All these are in the form of p divided by q, where q not equal to 0, and all these are in the range 1 and 2. So this is one method where I can solve this question. Now there is another method as well to solve the same problem, which is very easy when compared to this, which is it doesn't involve too much addition and division. Okay, it's very easy when compared to this, but it's necessary for you to know both these methods. Okay, now we are moving to the second method. I'm just zooming in. Okay, now method number 2. So we are given the numbers 1 and 2 and you are supposed to find 5 numbers in between them. So this is clear, the question remains the same. Now since we have to find 5 numbers, what you are going to do is that you are going to add it with 1. 5 plus 1, that gives you 6. Okay, so it gives you 6. So you take this number and what you are going to do is that you are going to multiply the numbers 1 and 2 by 6 in numerator and denominator. Okay, what do I mean by that? The number 1 can be represented as 1 by 1. Because 1 by 1 is obviously 1, right? Now you are going to multiply numerator and denominator by 6. Now again, even after doing this, the value is not going to change. 6 divided by 6 is 1, 1 divided by 1 is 1, so obviously its value is 1 still. But you have changed it to 6 divided by 6. Okay, the value doesn't change, but the numerator and denominator has changed. Okay, so 6 by 6. And you are going to do the same for 2 as well. 2 is same as 2 divided by 1 and you are going to multiply numerator and denominator by 6. That would give you 12 by 6, right? Now you have two numbers 6 by 6 and 12 by 6. Okay. Now 6 by 6 and 12 by 6, their actual values are 1 and 2. 6 divided by 6 is 1, 12 divided by 6 is 2. But you have changed it in this form so that you can extract numbers in between them. We need 5 numbers, we added 1 to it, so that is 6. Because like just by multiplying by 5 you would get only 4 numbers. So what do I mean by that? Just see, you will be able to notice it. Okay. Now between 6 by 6 and 12 by 6, there are infinite numbers, but actually numbers that are easy to write for you are 7 by 6, 8 by 6, 9 by 6, 10 by 6 and 11 by 6. Now we have 5 numbers here. Okay, these 5 numbers are in between 6 by 6 and 12 by 6. Okay. Now 7 just starts right after 6. We have 6 by 6 and this is 7 by 6, and 11 by 6 is just before 12 by 6. So these are well in between the numbers 1 and 2. Okay. So just for this to happen, we added 6. Now if in case you multiplied this by 5 instead of 6, what would happen? 1 by 1 into 5 by 5 is equal to 5 by 5, and again 2 by 1 into 5 by 5 is 10 by 5. Okay, now 5 by 5 and 10 by 5 are 1 and 2 in fact. So the numbers in between could be 6 by 5, 7 by 5, 8 by 5 and 9 by 5. You cannot have 10 by 5, right? Because 10 by 5 is included in the range. That you cannot have. So these are the numbers that you can extract if you multiply it by 5. So these are only 4 numbers, but we need 5 numbers. So that is why we multiplied it with 6 and not with 5. Okay. So don't confuse with this. This is just for you to understand. What you are going to do is that if you are required to find let me just grab the highlighter. In this question, you are required to find 5 rational numbers, okay, between 1 and 2. Since you are asked 5 rational numbers, you are going to add 5 with 1, which gives you 6, and that is with what you are going to multiply, okay. Whatever the number of rational numbers that you require, you are going to take that number, add it with 1, and that is what you are going to multiply it with, okay. I hope this is clear. And this example, this method is very simple when compared to the previous method, right. In the previous method, you had a lot of calculations done. You are using the same formula, which is a plus b divided by 2. You use the same formula again and again, and a lot of calculations were involved. You are going to find LCM and all those stuff. But in the second method, it's quite easy. You are going to check how many numbers you require. You are going to add it with 1 and just multiply the range with that, and you are going to extract all the numbers in between, okay. This is the second method, and it's also same purpose. I know these numbers that we have here, 3 by 5, 5 by 4, 11 by 8, 21 by 6 and 7 by 4 are not exactly the numbers that we have here, which is 7 by 6, 8 by 6, 9 by 6, 10 by 6 and 11 by 6. But there is no actual only one correct answer. So both these answers are actually correct, and with that we can come to a conclusion that there are infinitely many rational numbers between any two rational numbers, okay. There are infinite number of rational numbers, so there is no way that you are going to say only these 5 numbers are in between these 2 numbers, okay. So there are infinitely many numbers, so whatever you write, provided it is within the range, is a right answer, okay. So that is all for this example. I hope you understand how to solve this question. You are going to find 5 rational numbers. So this question or similar type of question will definitely be asked in your exams, and also it comes in the exercise as well. So I have discussed 2 methods here. When moving on to the exercise also, we will solve 1 or 2 questions with the same method. So I hope that is it for this video. If you have any doubts in the methods discussed, or if you have any suggestions based on the video, please let me know in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching this one. See you in the next video. Bye for now.